Hi all, catching the end of the first semi-final games here. I thought the stream was a bit, the relay on the ICC was a bit delayed. I was going to start in half an hour, but we can catch the end of these games, or just at least review what happened. So at the moment, towards the end of this game, Vladimir Kramnik is 1 pawn down in this night ending against Nakamura. Adams is the exchange up here. Pardon me, the exchange down. And 2, 3, 4 for 1 pawn. It is a pass pawn here, which can be protected by the bishop, but looks a little bit dangerous to be the exchange down. Is there enough compensation with this pawn here? So that's the kind of, there's an extra pawn for black. 4, 5, 6 pawns for black, and these pawns are doubled, of course. So I wonder, is Michael Adams going to generate some chances here? So I think we'll carry on from here and just until the next game at 2:30. So what actually happens in the Kramnik game? Let's have a quick review. There's a sort of double fianchetto. Looks very nice and positional from white. Exchange of bishops. Was a little bit of a tactic there. Knight takes f4. I wonder why that is. Knight takes f4. Interesting. e6 was played. What does this mean, knight takes f4? I'm wondering. E6, queen b5. It's all a bit crazy. So has this really happened? Knight takes f4. So this looks like to be a key tactic of the game here, which I'm having trouble with at first glance. Oh, it's protected anyway. There's no big deal about it. It was just winning the f4 pawn. It's not a major thing. So white did a sort of pawn sec for that e6. Got a dangerous position. And it came equal, nearly equal material. Black winning a pawn there. It's destined to be a draw, surely. And what happened in this game? So Catalan, that variation when knight takes d1. White win the exchange. Oh, yeah. Castling attacks d7 and b2. Was that missed? Oh dear. So white's taking that pawn off the light square there. And yeah, there is pressure generating now past the h pawn now potentially. This could be very dangerous for black. How will black generate some counterplay here? So this rook seems okay, protecting f3 and a3 there. I'm not sure there's too much counterplay to be generated. So white's putting pressure to generate a past h pawn. Let's put an analysis board on this one. Looks a bit in trouble. It's Michael Adams going to be knocked out. Hi Game Frame. Yeah, I checked. I was a few minutes late myself, but I noticed the ICC relay wasn't there. I wondered about just starting at 2:30, but then I saw it was available, so well, we can catch a bit of these two games. But it seems as though Adams is in big trouble here. This past H pawn coming up. So this check was played. What was played here? King d4, rook e3. So this past H pawn looks pretty dangerous. But can black, is the king assisting in c4, c3 check? In c4, it looks as though c4 would be a sensible move. Try and play this c3 check. And we get f5 now. Interesting. Takes. So this rook's now on h7 if needed. Okay, maybe this is okay. This after g takes, it's these pawns in the center with the king, they look pretty good. Actually, I like black's position all of a sudden a little bit. Maybe this pawn should remain there because there's always like rook d8. The pawn seems to be quite mobile. The rook is covering h7. If this rook ever leaves, it's going to be problematic a little bit. I think white's got some problems anyway. But judging by the clocks, Adams is under more time pressure. If the clocks are any reflection of what's going on here. I think, you know, there's some prospects here for black. Maybe I'm optimistic, but I think c4, c3. Let's put f4 first. Trying to drive this rook away. Maybe the rook can be shut out with f3, so we can simply get c. Oh, there's a check now.
Check.
Maybe we can get f2. Some sort of mating net. Maybe f3 and bring the king in to c3, and then bishop e4 for a mating net with rook b1. Try and mate the white king. I don't think Boris would be expecting a major king safety issue. It can be distracted by one's own passed pawn, neglecting king safety sometimes here. So possibly, you know, f3, king c3, because f3 would shut down the rook on this, and then we can play well, he's closing in for the mating net with f3 and alright, the check's been played.
Check.
I think maybe the bishop wanted to control h7 anyway. In any case, it's about this pawn for a moment, so the king might be content for king c4 here, and then throw in a check later, not to mate the white king necessarily, but there's a lot of hassle for the check here, if nothing else. I don't think moving the bishop, that bishop's covering h7. So king, I don't know what's the matter with king c4 necessarily. King c4. I don't know why he rejected actually f3. That's intriguing. Why wasn't, if we just look at this position, f3? What did the engine think of that f3? Was that f3 any good? Apparently it's all good for white anyway, but right. So okay, so bishop e4, we had this check, we had
check.
Here, and then we had pawn getting closer, but the bishop is on it at the moment. So c4, this is very exciting for c3, and then rook b1 would be mate. The pawn would be covering d2, the bishop would be covering c2. So getting c3 and rook b1, could this be really quite dangerous? But this pawn can be attacked. Bishop d3 sort of covers h7, but the pawn's not going forward after rook c8. I wonder, what about just check, king d2, check on b2? I think white's got some practical problems here to solve. It's tricky. I think it's definitely like tricky. I think f3, why not shut down the rook though? Okay, king d2. Alright, is the check any good?
Check.
It's been played. And the king's going away from this pawn now. Maybe f3 and then c3. Oh no, he's got to be careful about h7. Is this going for a perpetual check or something? Or back to b7 just to stop h7. Oh,
Check.
that could be annoying. Could be annoying. Don't want any tactical body blows, but c3, c2 looks so on the cards right now. So Michael Adams is stopping h7 with his bishop and rook. Oh, hang on, rook d4 is dangerous. Potentially on f4 now. And that's c3. Let's have a look at c3 here. Take c2. We could win this rook. No, we can't. Rook c4. Ouch. Oh, I thought there might be a tactical blow here. I think we have to... no, we're losing the... Adams is losing the f pawn. What can you do here? You can attack that... No, I think he's in trouble. Ouch. Losing that c pawn's a bit of a pain, or the f pawn. What about keeping the c pawn? What about check? Is check any good? Try and get in. It's being played.
Check.
So here, play check and protect the c pawn with rook c2
Check.
potentially. So the pawns are keeping the king out of e3 anyway. But they'll be okay. So now the rook's going to be protecting the pawn, and then what we could do is well, the king's going there. If we block, we're losing f4. We're going to lose f4. Snag. And unfortunately, we're losing c4 as well. Adams is losing c4. Rook takes c4. Oh no, the rook here is attacked. That has to be moved. So now rook takes c4. It's threatened. Rook g3. Oh dear. Black's king safety is called into question with rook g3. This is getting close to being mated. Oof. I think it looks to be all over. I think rook g3 is close to absolutely end of game. Rook c7. Well, now there's a threat of rook g7. Doesn't seem to be seems to be a highly unpleasant position. It's a shame. I thought black had some counterplay earlier. I think that rook d4 was a knockout punch. I think Adams has resigned there, so quite dramatic. Wow, so there was a turning point winning the exchange in this game when White, I thought White he's played this opening before in an earlier round it seemed. So he doesn't mind knight takes d1 here, and knight e3. And he had this this is a loose piece on b2, technically, and magic does happen with loose pieces, and we see it happening here after knight d7, loose piece here, slightly loose piece, only one protecting, and we get this castling queenside double attack with the king and the rook. Quite unusual tactic, and it wins the exchange because the rook can't go back to b7, we can just take on b7. So that was how black went down the exchange. Well, I thought there was definitely some potentially counterplay. I just wonder about this. Why here? Why not f3? If we just, I don't know, check this. If f3 had been played, let's go back. Or should we just have a look at the other game? I think the other game is probably finished though. Let's see what's happening on the other game first. So I think that was a draw. That was a draw there, that other game. Alright, let's just it's actually a stalemate. King f5 is stalemate. So but here I wonder, critical point, So instead of this bishop e4 business, so if black had played f3, that is given us an interesting move as well as bishop e4. I see there's check.
Check.
I have king c3. Rook c8. And if c4 or h6. So I suppose this check was always stopping the bishop e4 construction. It's stopping that bishop e4, so there's no chance of mating the white king. It's putting pressure on c4 as well. Okay, so we've got, I think, 15 minutes. So the next one. So 2 exciting games. Let's just check this Catalan from the start again, just in slow motion, just to kill a few minutes. So it starts off with this Queen's Engine territory, but with d5 now, sort of Catalan territory. With knight e5, knight plays c5 because the knight sort of lifted control on d4. Seems logical enough to do that. Encouraging this
Check.
knight capture back, looks a bit backward to take like that. But white's just got this nice bishop here, and once it gets back the pawn, and this knight can also be centralized. So bishop takes c5, knight e3. So a temporary pawn down. Black played c3, damaging the structure a little bit, because he's going to lose that pawn anyway. So knight d7 hitting e5, knight d3 hitting the bishop. This bishop's like a problem piece. So in this position, the thing is, although there is some structural damage, this bishop a3 possibility, the bishop's not on this diagonal, is annoying. And in fact, okay, knight c4. I suppose one of the knights are heading to e5 to support knight c6 if b6, which happened. No, it didn't happen. No knight e5 here. Instead, knight takes c5, and then this bishop a3, bishop a6, now knight e5. So in theory, it looks as though this is a backward pawn on a file which black can put pressure on, but in practice, there's the bishop pair. There's knights coming to c6 potentially. So even though black's got the better structure on the queen side, the actual piece pressure is quite good for white here, it seems. So knight c6. Now just taking that knight, which blocks exposure on that c pawn. So here, what is white's advantage, if any? It looks just like the knight on c6 is cool. It's annoying. But there's this pawn to sort out with this pressure here. So we see knight e5 hitting the rook. The rook goes to b2. c4 blunting the bishop, protected by that knight. That knight's difficult to dislodge with only knight d7 at the moment, or knight g4. It's difficult to dislodge that knight. So it's just the e2 pawn from this side, which is annoying. h5 makes some space for the king. Bishop f3, and now white's preparing to castle. So it's slightly, just out of all this, it seems structure symmetrical, but white has a better knight than black's knight. The bishop's slightly better than the bishop here. So the knight and bishop in particular. No exchange there. Black's trying to undermine c4. Now knight e7 check is threatened to win the rook. Rook c7. The knight's kicked back, and then this knight returns. So that was the end of that. So c pawn protected again, and again with this situation, this statement that the knight and bishop are better slightly than the knight and bishop here. Knight d7. The rook's now able to support knight d7. So again, we've got pressure potentially on c4. But then this killer tactic, castling queenside, happens. Ouch. So the assumption was white was going to castle kingside for a while. Bit of a surprise. Winning the exchange. Attacking here. Attacking this. It's winning. Also the bishop is protecting the rook, so you can't even play this, trying to win this rook. Because we've got this guy protected. Let's just check that with an engine. There's nothing really clever here. No, it just seems to be the best move to castle queenside. Big advantage there. So knight d7. In fact, it seems black was slightly better there. In theory, with rook b4. Until this disaster happens of casting queenside. So it's actually putting white in a big advantage, winning that exchange. You might expect, even though like c4 is dropping off. Now I wonder actually here, knight takes c4 instead.
Check.
That seems even better, apparently. So taking off that bishop and taking here.
Check.
But very logical play from white all the time to generate the passed h pawn as soon as possible. Shame. There just wasn't time to get any counterplay here. The exchange down. So it was played very well from white here as well. It wasn't like plain sailing totally. I mean,
Check.
this looked potentially dangerous. If only f3 and king c3, then that would be the end of white for rook b1. Just wasn't given any time, of course. And this actually opened up the possibility of rook h5 check.
Check. Check. Check.
Which is actually really quite annoying, because if bishop f5 here, then there's, I guess there's h7 driving the rook back. No, hang on. No, there isn't bishop f. There is bishop f5. What might I play here? Was this the game? Let's stop that for a sec. King f6. Possibly bishop f5 was better here. Bishop f5 was better. So that was another blunder. A little bit of a blunder. King f6. So white's massively better after rook d4. There is a weakness of the last move. It neglects d4. That's pounced into very accurately. Usually in Blitz you don't usually even factor in weakness of the last move that much. But here it's the opportunity just opened up for rook d4. So apparently bishop f5 It's a shame because, you know, sometimes, you know, C3, you know, it's dangerous. Would have been quite dangerous still. Surprised, I'm a little bit surprised actually. I know. Black was the exchange down, but I didn't expect that with that past C pawn to happen. So Boris Gelfand's pretty good at this stuff. So let's have a look. So the new pairings. So we're going to have Nakamura. No, those are the old pairings. So there was a draw there, and the win for Gelfand. Is anyone else feeling sad about this game here? Adams getting knocked out. Is anyone feeling a bit sad? I am. I do like Adams as a player, and I mean, what would have White done here to try and win this? That's a bit tricky. Let's see what the engine would have fought here. Rook C1. I mean, it's almost like, look at that. It's almost like dead equal, just King D4. It's the engine's not really finding anything constructive. It means if it's just about here. I mean, it's just closely imbalanced because Black is controlling on H7. That's a real tragedy. That move, really, that weakness of the last move here just cost the whole game. King F6, Rook D4, Black's falling apart. It's actually a double attack basically on both pawns and everything, skewering. King. How infuriating. So Nakamura against Kramnik now. Now Adams White against Gelfand. It's a chance to equalise actually. That's not all over yet. But that was a bit gutting, gotta say. Absolutely gutting. Now the more I look at it. But anyway, can he get revenge? How can 2200 be at 2000? Everyone makes mistakes at that level. From a mistake. That's the thing. Adam should be cooler with the white pieces. He should be more confident with the white pieces. Isn't that a strange question, Game Frame? I don't get your question, really. How does anyone lose? They make mistakes in chess to be able to let the opponent win. Bishop F5 was the move, yeah. It was compounding being exchanged down. You didn't need to compound being exchanged down. It's just human make mistakes, you know. If we were watching computers, you know, they wouldn't, would they, as much? But we don't really want to watch computers all the time. We like seeing humans. I mean, the computer games are getting quite interesting as well. But I mean, you know, there's an entertainment factor of mistakes and Blitz and Rapid. They create mistakes. It's a celebration of mistakes, really. In some respects, the faster the time limit, it creates entertainment. someone was going on about this most beautiful game of bullet chess video I had on the channel, and he was saying, as though, oh, because there was inaccuracies, how can you consider it like beautiful? And he assumes it was because of the queen sack. Well, yeah, beauty is like a completely different subject to accuracy. I just can't believe that comment. I haven't replied to it yet. I mean, there's a lot of comments I want to reply, and sometimes YouTube is actually broken. It seems I can't reply anyway, even if I wanted to at the moment, since they changed the comment system. But you know, Mark Young, I wanted to reply to you, Mark. It's been established in the last few years that you can check people using engines from a statistical perspective. You said about it not being scientific on one of my recent videos. I did want to reply there. It's not about being scientific, it's about statistical probability. You said something about Ivanov. There's nothing scientific about engine matching, you know, what moves. If you take like a higher game sample, you're increasing the statistical improbability of him being able to play to that level. It's not a science, is it? It's about statistics. So you need, and research methods, you need to increase sample sizes. And statistically, you're saying it's improbable. Like in one tournament, he refused to take his socks off. He was leading the tournament, and instead of getting this big prize fund, I think it was big, he refused to take his socks off, saying he had smelly feet. It seems unlikely that this sort of thing can happen to him over and over again. It just seems very unlikely when you take the whole thing about Ivanov. And apparently there was something which was found in this tournament, and he would rather just go rather than being inspected again, second time. It's all about statistical, you know, probability. If you're on that video about Ivanov. No. There has been a frame of reference. Loads of his games have been analysed. It's quite well known. Loads of his games before have been analysed. This is I just picked the latest example of him beating this 2600 GM. I thought it would be interesting to check that game out. But loads of his other games have also got this high correlation. It's quite a well-known character now. They have subjected world champions even to engine accuracy, and Capablanca actually came up as being one of the most accurate world champions. I think that has to do with his style of play. He was tending towards simplification. There has been detailed surveys checking the accuracy of players in the past from an engine perspective. There's nothing new here. There's nothing new in that video about checking for engine accuracy. There's absolutely a frame of reference. This has been done for years. No, it depends on the style of play. I think Tao, I think, had a low correlation. His style was too complex. The positions were too tactical. I think he had a much lower matching than, say, Capablanca. When there was this survey done, I think, by Jeff Sonas on how accurate the world champions were. It often depends on the style of play. I think Kramnik would come up high because he's quite into endgames as well. Clear cut stuff. Karpov probably. I think some servers they have overwhelming evidence, what they call overwhelming evidence. Correspondence servers as well, and some sites do use that to ban a lot of players. It's well known. It's not new, is it? They have the stats. They create all the stats. They ban people. Some sites. It's done. This has been done for the last 7 years. As far as online servers, how do you think the ICC catch engine cheats? How do you think the ICC do it? The Internet Chess Club. I'm hoping this is going to start soon. It's 2:37 now. All right, we got the game started. Okay, probably with some big delay, but I'm just going to try and do an interesting commentary. So, okay, so Sicilian defence here. Now is Adams going to play G3? It will be in his comfort zone to play a quick G3 rather than going into a theoretical debate with Boris. He is going into theoretical debate. I wonder why. Has he got some surprise move lined up for Boris in his? I think Boris Gelfand is I think one of the strongest Najdorf players going at the moment. So why is Adams going to try this? Going to some sharp Najdorf line. He's going to play H3 or something here. Surprise move. H3 maybe. Nope. It's the English attack system with F3 and. Okay, he's not even going to get F3 though because we're going to have this. Toying with the bishop here. This happens in a Nakamura against Gelfand game, which I video annotated a few weeks back. It's just called statistical proof. It's just statistical evidence, statistical proof. I mean, the whole FIDE rating system is based on statistics. There's no guarantee that a 2800 is going to beat you if you're 2100, but statistically, it's likely. There's no guarantee there either. It's the realm of statistics. If you have any respect for statistics and probability, then it's in the realm of that. But anyway, I want to get back into this. Sorry. So what's happening here? Should we? Let's get into this. So B4. Is unlikely. Come on, what's happening here? Let's copy this game for a moment. For some analysis. Actually, that's game 2. Sorry, game 2. Do we want to kick back the knight? Is it e5? H4. It's just, I don't know what Adams has gone into this. I mean, against Gelfand of all people. Why? He must know something about this. He's got something up his sleeve here or something. This bishop always struck me as quite dangerous in this variation. And that's control of e5, putting a knight nicely on e5. Could I just castle actually and play for something else? If I just castled. Maybe bishop e2 after. On the other hand, I think f3's got something going for it actually, to put the bishop on f2 later. He has played f3. So I think the knight goes to e5. What about just bishop? Maybe not immediately, just probably h4 looks likely. Try and damage this structure, create an isolated pawn. I think people have done studies, but servers use it as evidence. I thought it's common knowledge, to be honest. This is like common knowledge. Mark Young, you seem to know nothing about online cheating, I'm afraid. Perhaps we shouldn't carry on this conversation. I'm sorry, but you don't seem to know about it. It's not a subject you seem to know anything about. With all due respect. So bishop f2 immediately. I was just looking at that. Knight d5, bishop b6 could be possible soon. If he's going for a quick, so he's avoiding h4. Knight d5 and bishop b6 potentially, or maybe something sneaky. What I could do is not castle queenside and just play bishop e2 and castle kingside, and maybe a4, just play positionally on the queen side. Could be the surprise twist here. Let's have a look at this other game. So this was a quick a3 here, stops the bishop e4 check. Probably checked out in advance by Nakamura this line. We can play something like rook d1 and king e2, I suspect. Or is he going to quickly just take on c6 to get rid of the pressure on d4? Okay, we've got knight a5. So I wonder about knight. Oh, this knight c4 business is a pain. That's a real pain for b2, potentially. And knight d5 and knight ac4, we're on b2. What do we do here? Can't play. This would be a disaster, for example, just as an example.
Check.
I think he's got to take it, hasn't he? White's got to take this. And then maybe knight d5. I can leave that knight to come, he can take that one. Maybe bishop e2 here. And then castle. And the queen's actually good for a4 potentially. And knight d5 for b4, knight d5. For bishop e6 again. So maybe just taking... Queen takes. So what about just bishop e2 here? Forget casting queenside. We'll be slaughtered if we do this. This would be horrible, surely. So just bishop e2. And bishop e2, we can just castle cosily, surely, and then later a4. And if b4 we can play knight d5, then we have bishop b6 as a threat. Is there anything wrong with bishop e2? What do you guys think about this position? Do you think bishop e2 is any good in the circumstances? Bishop e2? What do you think about that? Terrible move? Good move? What do you think? a4, what about a4? I don't think a4 is not actually threatening anything. If we played a4, it's, you know, loose rook, it's not threatening anything. I think bishop e2 strikes me as sensible anyway. Bishop e2. Or could I actually invite an exchange of queens? Is that silly?
Check.
This position looks dangerous for this. We could, if we castle, we're winning e7. If king d8, there's bishop b6. Let's play bishop e2. So I think white just wants the castle, and then a4. Try and harass the queen with a4. Bishop e6 is a pain, isn't it? Trying to get in maybe bishop c4. And if we play b3, there's knight takes f3,
Check.
disaster on c3. We'll be skewing our queen potentially. Some massacres could happen. So basically, bishop c4, trying to weaken c4. So it's just Fanta. Fanta. Bishop c4, set of castles. Bishop c4. a4. Is that still any good? Knight c4. Takes. That's pain, isn't it? Seems to be a good move. Don't know. What do I want to do? It's not all rosy, is it? Castles. I don't know. Bishop c4 seems plausible. It's a4. It's before a4. Not casting. He's done bishop d4 without casting. Bishop d4. So he's pinning that knight. Sort of. It's actually going to attack the queen, so it's not really. Well, it is kind of pinned anyway. We take first, and then the rook would be hanging if bishop takes d4. So there's no time to take back without losing the rook. Aha. Now, if black castles, then we might slip in h4 because black's king is over here. h4 here with the rook still on h1. g4, f4. Ooh, this could be very dangerous for black. He's avoided that. So b4, trying to win some central control there actually. So the knight being dislodged, now d5 winning some central control from b4. Boris is so good with this opening. Let's have a look at the other game for a moment. Blimey. Huh. What's going on here? Knight takes as check. Takes knight c2 check. King d2. Knight takes e3. Attacking the rook. Does black just snatch the pawn? Does Kramnik just snatch the pawn? Loose piece, b5, knight c2, king, e2. Have we quick look at this as well? Right, so if we take knight c2 check, if we play king d2, knight takes e3. And this doesn't look too hot for white. It's just a pawn down. It's not a pawn down. Hang on. We're equal on pawns. What's happening with the pawn situation? earlier.
Check.
There was no pawn on b4. Sorry, there's no pawn. I thought we'd taken a pawn on b4. It's just knight b4 without taking a pawn. So it's not. Maybe it's no big deal at all. Just
check.
king e2 here. Then we don't have to get a piece back. We don't have to play king d2. We can force the knight maybe to take on e3. And we get this position. Looks alright for white, doesn't it? Oh, hang on. Bishop h6 is a killer. if knight g5 f6, okay, that's not on. Not rook c1 anyway. Rook b1. Okay. And where's the other game? So d5, yeah. Positionally, black's threatening just to isolate this pawn, have a fantastic knight protected by the queen as well as the bishop. But, yeah, both sides are not castling. White wanted to leave the rook for h4 perhaps, but black's never going to allow that, it seems. Castling for h4. Or he might do it at the right time when it's not that dangerous. So he's opening up the centre. He's dislodging white's central control with this. And b4 and d5 seems sort of dramatic looking. a3 here. Trying to just use this pin. And it's not really threatening. It's threatening queen takes b4 potentially. D takes just isolates white's e pawn. That would be extremely nasty. Like rook takes d4 stuff.
Check.
Yeah, why did he go into this variation? Why? Why can't he just play the positional thing? I don't get it. Oh, right, stuff with taking on a1, 7. So knight b4, taking
check.
Knight c2 check. Knight takes a1, because there's knight b3 check to try and get the knight out. Is it
Check.
not stranded? Goes to a5. So has black just won the exchange? No. What? Yes, black's just won the exchange. Engine say about this. Knight b4, was that actually a winning move or something from an engine point of view? Knight b4, better for black. Bishop takes, check.
Check.
King d2. Black's best is knight takes a1. Yes, black just winning the exchange. Okay. It did really happen. Knight b4.
Check.
Okay. And he didn't want to play bishop a4 here for some reason. I suppose there's b5, b5. If bishop a4, b5, there's a pain. Knight's controlling these two squares. So he just went back to b5.
Check.
Backs the exchange up. But the knight... Okay, how does the knight get back? Just goes to... Sorry, this did happen in bishop a4. Let's get the plot. So bishop a4, b5, bishop takes, knight b3,
Check.
e2. Right, pawn for the exchange. Is that worth it? Yeah, I think Kasparov likes his d pawns in this sort of position to get the d pawn up. I remember one game is like talking about getting his d pawn up. Here it looks as though that d pawn could be really dangerous. Of course, Black's going to get counterplay as well. The king is just going to sit back on f1. And d5. Right, support gives c5 support. Like c5. That's the idea. d5, knight c5. She can always just like take it off. Bishop c6. The king's holding d1 here. There's no rook c6. Check. Don't know. Looks as though Black could just be better here. d5 has to be played. Knight c5 looks to be a pain. I was taking on d5 first. I must take this. Take the pawn. Alright, if he doesn't take the pawn, what does he do? I think he's got to take that. That d pawn surely is something to look forward to. Surely taking that pawn is important. Okay, so knight c5. Is that still useful here? That is rook c2 check. I'm just
Check.
covering d2 for a moment. Rook c2 check. Go over here. Okay, knight c5 has been actually been played. So, knight c5. What can we do with white here? Bishop g5 with pain? Just f6. I don't know about this. We're controlling e8 here against the checks. F6 seems blocking the bishop. Bit committal, maybe bishop f4. No. Rook c1. And if rook takes d5, oh, there's bishop c4 here. Is that? Bishop c4. The rook's kind of awkward at g4. Yeah, it's kind of awkward pin. If rook drop back, we've got bishop takes and then bishop takes f7.
Check.
To win this. So, okay, so maybe rook takes d5 is a bad idea. Let's just check that analysis. Bishop c4, white will be in the driving seat apparently, or equal. So actually that's so not avoiding taking on d5 here seems a good idea. How's the other game going? I wonder. Oh, that's progressed quite a lot. It's that d5 ed. That's a comment on the other one. Okay, let's go back here. So you're saying free zoos 934. You're saying rook takes bishop c4. You're saying knight e4. A pin on. I think we just take because knight. We're on the knight after. If knight c3 check, we'll just take. So he's actually played knight e4, rook takes, bishop c6. There's actually there's almost no, there's no threat here. No, knight's blocking d6 at the moment, stopping d6. But this pawn needs to be moved, doesn't it? This pawn is actually important to take. We have a fast a pawn. So black needs to do something about the pawn, surely. On a7. Let's move the pawn. King d3. Is that any good? Try and bring the king up. D6, bishop f4. Let's ignore the pawn. He's just played rook b8, offering the pawn for rook b2, I guess. So this check, how good is that? If king steps back, it's not very aggressive. Steps forward. That's knights. Oh, we can just take this pawn there. No, we can't. All right, what do we do here? Knight f2,
check.
which we might be able to take that. No, we lose everything. d6. Is that crazy? Where's bishop f8? Bishop e7. This is a hot pawn or something. Do we want to take this pawn? What's the engine reckon? Taking the pawn? Taking the pawn should be equal. Apparently taking the pawn. Check. No, actually, why not king d3 here? Apparently this is this is what I mentioned actually. So d6 is bishop f8. Ah, there's always bishop f6 as well. So you can just take on g2 straight off the bat. I think d7 is bishop f6. But apparently in this position, apparently king e3, and then if it takes here, d6. Why is there a difference here? King's still attacking the knight. Check. Not d7. Knight takes d7, rook b7. Probably. So 94. Apparently could be about equal potentially. Yeah. It's a long way off. Go back to the game. Oops, a bit more of the game than that. He has taken the pawn, so check.
Check.
Apparently king e3 instead of just putting pressure on the knight. So I think checking king e3. if he doesn't play rook b2, it seems all a bit risky. If he doesn't play, say he plays this, it seems a bit too far-fetched. It's just bishop c5 here. No, not bishop c5. That's knight. a4, just a4, yeah. So he played check.
Check.
And the king's actually gone back. Oh, to f1. Aha. It's 2 pawns for the exchange. There's bishop f8. Maybe for bishop c5, that would be annoying for f2 later. But this d pawn's dangerous. And bishop f8 is on a3 immediately. Tempo. There's bishop f8 on a3. What might do if a4, bishop c5. D pawn is a pain. Actually, there's another. What about this idea? What about playing h6 for g5 just to try and keep these guys where they are, and just play for g4? It's interesting because the knight's actually holding the pawn right now. So what about just h6? What's the engine's suggestion then? Yeah. It was bishop f6 or f5. Okay. Play rook a2, a4, check.
Check.
Aha, he's going
Check.
for this a pawn. He's winning this a pawn. Now, I assume there's always bishop f6 to d6. Let's have a quick look at that. So king d3. Let's say knight takes. Now, there's always actually rook d1 check. I was knight d2. So d6. Bishop f6 minimum. Does the king want to go to d3? D3 looks quite adventurous and dangerous. If this goes to D2, it covers actually D1 anyway. So let's D. So we take here and D6. That was bishop F6. There's always bishop F6. I don't know what we're doing with this D pawn. He's gone to D3. And if black just takes, should black be worried about the D pawn? Unless he wants to throw in a check first, he's going to recapture. He's attacking the bishop anyway. I think white could be grovelling here for a bit. The exchange down. Is there going to be some grovelling that needs to be done? He has put in a check first.
Check.
And the king didn't want to go back here because that's losing the other bishop. So it is forcing. Was it actually forcing the king back? There's F5, isn't it?
Check.
That's checkmate. Let's hear that checkmate.
Check.
It's not checkmate. It's king here. It's almost getting mated. They'll be like, no. Okay. So anyway, he's gone to E2 there. So that's a little bit dangerous. Okay, take here. Oh, I suppose the bishop wants to play here on D6. Potentially. Or just D6. D7. Oh, the king's got D7. It's blockade square. Wow. So the king can jump into E8 here for D7. And then where is the pawn going? It's blockaded. I think this is going to be torture for white. I suspect this is torture. The torture session begins. The exchange up. Black is going to blockade that pawn. And going to try and win it after. Just win the pawn after, carefully. See what's happening in the other one. Dear oh dear. It seems white's 2 pawns down. Whatever he's done. Why is he 2 pawns down? At first glance, being 2 pawns down doesn't seem good. So if Adams can only draw this, I think he's going to lose. He's going to be knocked out if he draws. But it looks as though, yeah, something like rook. No, rook h7. Then no, white's got certain something. White's got certain something, I think. Let's have a look. Or maybe not. Hang on. His rooks are better. He can play rook c1 here now. And h3. put the other one on for a second. I'll come back in a moment. Put the other one side by side. Back in a moment. Okay, so White needs to make some air for the king. Oh no, rook b6. That's a real pain. Okay. I don't think it's a win for White at the moment. On here, I think Adams, if he can only draw, he's been knocked out then. If he's drawing, I think he's knocked out. I think bishop d4 to f6, yep. Is pretty drawish. Put the bishop on f6. Or actually just a5 first. Be a pawn up. For a while longer. So bishop f6, king g7. Just offer a draw, isn't it? Just to win the match. King g7. Rook b8 after. Oh. Yeah, of course he can do that. Check. King g7 is protecting rook. H6 is interesting. F6, G5 after. Or just bishop f8? This is White just want to play bishop f8? Or is there something horrible going on after bishop f8? It doesn't look as though there would be. Just bishop f8? Simplify a bit, or could actually drive that bishop away with h6, f6, g5 potentially. Not to have to exchange off a piece. That might be better, to have both pieces on. Adams can't be serious, can he? Can he really win that? Can he really win that position? He has got the better pawn structure, but the opposite colour bishops here. I'll say it's probability is low, isn't it, of white winning that? I don't know what you guys think. Opposite colour bishops, equal on pawns. I don't know. You know, things can happen when there's not much time. King, you know, the king could walk dangerously along the light squares, and could be some danger for black. Actually, the bishop's not going to be bad on e4. Let's cut off the king from walking. Does look fairly Jurish now. I don't know what the idea is of 92. Just what about h6 just for g5? Like g4 or something to keep the bishop on. This h pawn is all of a sudden quite loose after. If g3 drops, isn't it still nothing? It still looks like mostly nothing. Is there anything Naka's doing with this knight, which is sneaky? I can't really see it. I think h6 and g5 coming up. If g4 is... Oh, there is something sneaky. There's bishop h6 for knight takes... No. Doesn't work. Does rook f2 here? Or... I think it's over, isn't it? Yeah. So he has played h6. He's going to play f5, probably, and then rook. So if rook takes, there's knight c5. If king takes, isn't knight f6 always drawing? Let's have a quick look at this position. So if rook takes, we have knight c5 check.
Check.
And if king takes, we have bishop. It seems we have bishop takes h6. Now, look at this position for a moment.
Check.
I think white's just drawing that, surely. Because what he does is put his king here. Then he plays like f4, then h5, and then it's a draw. Gets rid of the last pawn. So Kramnik has sidestepped things here with king f7. So now this avoids all that stuff. That pawn does seem to be dropping off anyway, just much more safely. Where's the pawn going? Oh, mind you, there's knight c5 now to protect the pawn. It's getting a bit silly now. Bishop f8. Well, bishop, I don't know, bishop, well, let's go back somewhere. Ouch! Really? Has he just produced a swindle nearly? So if bishop takes d8 queening, if rook takes just queening winning, wow, Naka's totally alert to every tactical opportunity, it seems, as you'd expect. So I had to stop that again. Bishop b6. Wow, I can't believe. So I can't believe this is happening. With this d pawn quite menacing now. What is going on here now? Bishop c7, there's rook c6. That d pawn. Wow. Has Kramnik blown this? How does he handle this? This knight is keeping the king out of e6. Pawn's keeping the king out of e8. Bishop can't move without fear of d8. This is a turn up for the books. Bishop c5, there's d8. I didn't expect this. Blimey. That was unbelievable. That's unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. How this pawn is still on the board here. Don't tell me the king's going to be doing something now. I thought the king might do something. White will be happy to draw this. Just king g2. No, seeing what white's doing now to break this bind. White's got this bind here. I don't know how. This is unbelievable. What on earth? Let's just check this engine check. Black's apparently a tiny bit better, but I doubt there's a winning plan. I think it's only a theoretical advantage. Look, there's no kind of... I don't think there's a major winning plan for black at the moment. If this is not changing, this evaluation, then there's nothing constructive that can be done here. Anyway, it's not really changing, is it? I didn't expect this. Oh, not there. 5. This sort of thing's happening. I don't think there's anything constructive. He's managed to get a draw from that. White's managed to get a draw the exchange down. This is unbelievable. This would be a psychological blow, surely, for Kramnik. What happened in that first game? Was that? Can someone remind me what happened in their first game? Oh, trying to do something with h4. White's leaving his structure intact. Not maybe he just wants to keep the structure intact here. Bishop a5 again. We have got this check. I don't know if that's any use. The king's just going to move and we have to go back to d6. I don't think anything's happening here. Their first game at 1 o'clock was a draw, so it's some sort of tie break. If this is a draw, I wonder what the tie break is. That's at 4 o'clock. They'll play a tiebreak at 4 o'clock for the semi-finals. So there's going to be tie breaks if this is a draw, forcing tie break. What does White do here? Let's go back to the game. So that's just in 17 minutes. I think just draw this. Tie breaks for the semi-finals supposed to be scheduled for 4 o'clock. That's 17 minutes time. Yeah. Oh, we get another type of draw now. Fortress draw with a bishop. Bishop takes. And the king's on F on G. Let's just get back to the game. So rook takes. Knight takes. We get this kind of fortress. I don't think we allow the king to g4. Check here, we just
Check.
king bishop e3. Does it matter? I think it might matter. Yes, it would matter. Sorry, let's get back. What? Hey? What? Why has he gone into this? What, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? Knight e6? What? Oh no. Knight e6? I thought White was just taking the pawn. Let's just copy this. I don't know what's going on anymore. What on earth? Why did he want to go knight and bishop versus rook? Oh my word. Even worse has happened. It's trivially winning for White. What a swindle. I think we're just witnessing a swindle, but what on earth? This is just totally winning for White now after this bishop d8. So if Kramnik had not been such a stubborn mule, couldn't he have just, like in this position, taken on d7? Oh my word, there's knight f8 check. Oh, there was knight f8 check. I don't believe it. Black, in trying for a win, had just set himself up for very stupid tactics. I don't believe this. So here, knight e6, White had to play bishop e7. I mean, Black had to play bishop e7 to keep it equal. We're talking about keeping it equal there. Instead,
Check.
Black played check, and now White's just winning because we've got this knight f8 check if rook takes d7. So White's better significantly.
Check. Check.
And he managed to quickly lose his rook, getting a lost position. I don't believe that. Kramnik's been humiliated in this blitz. I guess he can write off as just blitz. Well, it's sort of rapid. It's not blitz though, isn't it? It's rapid with increment. Shocking. I can't believe any of that happened. Weird. Black was just the exchange up. If we just rewind this, I thought the D pawn was going to be swallowed up anytime soon. So, this is crazy stuff. Nakamura is an incredibly resourceful player. Incredibly, but I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe he had anything here. He plays this very well timed d7 when the configuration is terrible for d7. He plays it. But let's just check this out technically. What was wrong if king takes d7 here? What? It didn't even work. d7. Hold on a sec. No, he didn't play d7 there. He waited until it precisely worked. So where was that? It was here that d7 works a lot better because we're winning that poor h6 pawn. Surely bishop takes h6. So there's this tactic for knight f6. But apparently Black's got rook e5 here. This doesn't even work. This tactic, bishop h6, doesn't. That's just winning for Black.
Check.
So he could have gone into the combination and found a flaw in it. If you just examine this combination, it looks like really clever stuff, but there's a flaw in it. And so maybe that combination was kind of trusted. So rook d7, you know, that's nothing. Knight c5, drawing. So the combination doesn't work. Instead, Black plays now king f7, And this knight is now cutting the king away from the pawn. We're getting this kind of wall, but I wonder, so king e7 here. What's wrong with king e7? So just bishop a5 is drawing, because the rook can't have time, king can't get in front of the pawn. So he plays bishop f8. Then we have bishop a5. So white's probably just expecting to draw this at this stage, the exchange down. Then Kramnik, I can't believe Kramnik can lose this. So anything can happen in Blitz, but this is just staggering. What on earth? So he plays g5, and we're about to get a ridiculous king position for a ridiculous tactic occurring. The king here. And what if king takes g5? Then we have got the ridiculous king position for knight e6 check for this to work. But again, that even, you know, this would be drawing still, because
check.
We could
Check.
get this pawn over here. No, it's winning for white, that one. What am I talking about? Knight e6. He plays bishop takes g5, knight e6 here. So there's this horrible knight f8 check.
Check.
So bishop e7 apparently was the only way to play this. So by playing check, he's now two pieces. White's actually slightly better.
Check.
And then to compound things,
Check.
instead of king f6, I mean king h7. Is white winning that? King f5. Assuming Nakamura knows how to mate with knight and bishop, the bishop's actually able to protect it with that, and he rook f7. But how is he going to get this pawn back? It's going to be tricky to get this pawn. Does he eventually get that pawn? Is this a forced win? That would be hard going, surely, to get that pawn. I don't know. You need like I don't know. I thought there'd be a lot of work there to get the pawn. So black just finished off the game quickly by this ridiculous king f6, which is optimistic, because it's like trying to win this knight. To be fair, he's trying to win the knight, but he just steps into bishop d8. It's trivially won after that. It's shocking. Isn't that shocking? I'm pretty shocked. I don't know about you guys. Unbelievable. And the other one, I guess, was drawn, yeah? That was drawn there. So it's going to be Nakamura against Gelfand at what time? 5:30. So no tie break needed. So it's going to be at 5:30. So we'll resume at 5:30 for final match 1. 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I'll just write this down here. So 17:30. Whoops. To 7 o'clock. Final match 1. And then it's Chess is really cruel, isn't it? Chess is an exceptionally cruel game. I don't know why we play it. just to be on the right side of winning. I guess we play it occasionally. So 2030 is final match 2. Well, especially Blitz is, I don't know, anything can happen. I guess that's why in team matches, if your team is winning, you just need a draw. Just agree a draw, because it seems absolutely anything can happen. That was exciting. So an hour and a half from now, so in 1.5 hours, see you later, see you soon. So back in an hour and a half then. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like the video if you like the commentary. We've got a few likes appreciated. So I'll see you at 5, not 5, I'll see you at 7 o'clock now. So they could have been, in theory, have been not 7 o'clock, 5:30 is the first final match game in an hour and a half. See you later. Thanks very much. I'll stream it here. I'll be streaming again. Yep.